review the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections?
For approval.
Moved and proper second to accept the minutes as presented for the July 11th meeting of Park. Any unreadiness? If not, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed have the same option. Any who wish to abstain? So ordered. It's carried. I took the opportunity to send some comments in advance. Hopefully you had the opportunity to review those. I'd now like to turn the mic over to Co-Chair Saccharin, who would like to make some comments.
Am I doing that now, Jerry? Okay. Well, thank you, Jerry, for turning it over to me for a second. I just wanted to share with folks that this will be my last meeting. My family and I are embarking on an adventure out west, and it's kind of bittersweet in many ways. I've really appreciated working with each one of you and getting to know you all through this work, and then in particular Jerry and former council member Jackson Carroll. You know, you have a special place in my heart, particularly our work on council and just particularly through COVID from 2020. It was a challenge, and it was nice and encouraging and extremely humbling to see your leadership during that time. I think the city was stronger for it, and I think when history looks back during those times after COVID, I think they're going to realize that we kind of led the city through a very difficult patch, and we did it well. So thank you for your service. And then Jerry, it's been a pleasure working with you, and your energy and ambition and passion is something that I try to model. You're a bit older than I am, but I have to say when I'm of your elder statesman age, I hope I have that same vigor and passion for community involvement, because I think we need folks like you more so than we ever did before in this city. Do want to say just a couple things about my departure. You know, it is a family adventure. We're moving out to Montana. It's something we've wanted to do for years. When I say bittersweet, I feel like this commission in particular has a long trajectory and runway of potential opportunities ahead of itself. And I won't make any bones and mince any words. Charleston's a very difficult place to do this type of work. And I think each of us knows that. It becomes personal in many ways. The work of this commission and the work around racial equity and justice is something that some in Charleston do not embrace. And it's something that I've seen firsthand. I've been here for 24 years. So I'm leaving with a sense of relief a little bit, and hopefully things get better and move in progress a little bit faster. But I'm also leaving with a sense of assurance, because I know that things are in good hands with particularly folks around this table, folks on city council. I see some folks from city of North Charleston. I see the emblem. I feel like the city of North Charleston is doing very well, and in their future. So my point is, hopefully Charleston and city of North Charleston and surrounding areas embrace this type of work and doesn't become politicized and weaponized as it has in the past. That this is the work of the righteous and the work of something that I think our Charleston, the entire Charleston community needs. So thank you, Jerry, for that time. And I'm going to miss each and every one of you. And you have a place to stay in Montana if you all want to come out and fish or ski. You have a open door. So thank you.
The co-chair was an
What's his name?
environmentalist. All right.
Yes, I do feel like we owe Jason a debt of origination and value setting that I don't think we would be holding on to without his own leadership and his own dedication to making sure that a group like this continues and is as genuine and acting out of our integrity and our our own sense of honor and passion as you set that bar for us, Jason. I just learned a new acronym today. My daughter, I can brag, has just been appointed to the first cohort by President Xu at the College of Charleston. They're establishing a President's Leadership Institute. And in the letter that she received inviting her to accept her appointment, he went through the list of things that they're going to be taking up as sort of a think tank for the president. And so one of the topics is DEIB. So does anyone know what the B stands for in DEIB? Belonging. So yeah, she let me know that today. So I feel like that's a good word for you, Jason. You'll always have your belonging title here. So don't lose it.
I'm newer to this commission than most other people, but I've really enjoyed working with you, and I certainly will never forget your leadership in the wake of a really turbulent time for Jewish and Muslim communities, and the conversation that I've had with you since. Just have an incredible amount of respect for you and the work that you did on city council, and I plan on taking you up on that stay in Montana, whether or not you meant it.
So Jason, it's saddening to me to find out that you're leaving, but I'm happy for you and your family and your journey. I want to say thank you for your leadership. You've always been the type of person for me, it's not what you say, is how you say it. And you've always been very intentional of what you're saying. And I appreciate your support. You've been very supportive. So thank you.
You stepped in and kind of created a, consistency and solidified a little bit of the processes, and that was tremendously helpful for the commission. And I think and you're still here. You didn't leave, and I think that's a good thing. It says a lot about where we are as a city, and I just hope you can continue to push and advocate and, leverage your leadership, not just with the city, but, with the city of North Charleston, the school district. And I know you've reached out to a lot of folks in those institutions, so thank you.
My last comment is that there would not be a commission had it not been for Jason's leadership on city council. I think we can thank him for this work that we have to do, and the leadership that he's provided over time, a steadying hand, providing information about how, for many of us, not knowing how the council procedures work, he's been doing leadership behind the scenes to push things forward, and you will be missed. And unfortunately, because we don't have a large budget, we don't have the big plaque and all that kind of stuff to get you. So just know that you got a plaque of love coming from us.
I appreciate it. I don't need a plaque, just the words and the sentiments alone.
Okay. Thank you. Adrian, manager's report?
Well, the manager's report was sent over, so I am confident that you all reviewed them. I'm not gonna be repetitive and going over it again. I'm sure you can review them. But this morning at 10 a.m., the Racial Equity Core team met with the mayor. And that was a good meeting. I'll write up some notes from that because there are some things that we're gonna be working on internally in the city for city employees. And we also have those employees who also branch out into the communities. So some of those things will be vetted through HARC. But that was a pretty good meeting. So this is where I'll leave it. So I want to hear about the panelists.
Okay, any questions to the written manager's report? If not.
Mr. Chair, I wanted to ask you an item in your update to us last evening, you talked about the Health and Wellness Advisory Committee had a discussion based on the recommendations that the SIRC final report had. I know, I'm saying, yeah, no, I said, Mr. Chairman. So I was just wondering what those takeaways were, if we could
So,
understand that.
we, in essence, had asked the chair, Councilman Shealy had, to his knowledge, the advisory committee ever taken a look at the recommendations. And he indicated not formally, so he circulated the recommendations from the special commission report. I briefly highlighted the work that we were doing around questions of affordable housing, and particularly the intersection of the work that we're going to be talking about today, the unhoused and their health-related pieces. And what the feedback we got was basically that they were pursuing priorities substantially around nutrition and the healthy action plan, and that was being updated. And the reason that I thought it was important for us to have that conversation, as you know, we made the decision to reach out to groups. Well, the Health and Wellness Advisory Committee is comprised of like about 16 or 17 groups. So we're able to get multiple groups connected by that one meeting. So that was primarily the purpose to establish communication. And they were very complimentary of the work that they were doing with Adrian, also in terms of ongoing communications. That basically was conversations, right? And sharing of agenda items and year-round health activities. We also mentioned the water plan in terms of, and Bonnie had commented earlier about the natural remediation approaches, and that's has an impact on health, obviously air quality, et cetera, and with asthma and other things being important. So we tried to make that connection, that we were interested in what was going on, and also highlighted for those members, had they not been paying attention yet to the water plan having come out, that it was something to review.
Okay.
All right. Tom, is your show?
Afternoon, everybody. Before turning the presentation on the unhoused over to Mr. Jeffrey Fleming, here's how we got here today. Besides myself volunteering a few times at the neighborhood house over on America Street, I'd been reading quite a lot in the PC about homelessness in our area. I talked to a few reporters with the PC, one who stayed overnight and was out and about the night in January on the point in time night, and basically learned that the count was really undervalued. A lot of more unhoused people out and about than were counted. So the homeless numbers in our state, I come to find out, in Charleston, Columbia, our state, and the nation are so undercounted, and as such becoming a more serious problem locally and nationally. So at that point, I contacted Miss Anita Alston Gore and asked her to come to a meeting, and then Mr. Brandon Lilienthal from North Charleston, the homeless coordinator there, like Ms. Gore is the homeless coordinator here in Charleston. Well, then I met Jeffrey, Mr. Fleming, and told him about it, and he said, well, I know a couple other people that really should be here too. And I said, great. So then basically Jeffrey ran with what we're doing here this evening. And this wouldn't have happened without Co-Chair Harris really seeing the importance of this and letting us have this opportunity this evening. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Fleming, Palmetto Project Chief Operating Officer and Homeless to Hope Fund Coordinator.
Well, you took it away from me. Now I don't have to say that. Hi, I'm Jeffrey Fleming. I have served as Chief Operating Officer for Palmetto Project for 26 years. We are a statewide nonprofit that works to put new ideas together, solving social and economic problems in our state. We have the state's first, we have an all-state licensed insurance agency, which is one of the areas that we've worked with the community in terms of providing assistance for Medicaid. We work with children's youth in school, families, youth and schools, civic participation. We're the ones that do the I voted stickers, and also community engagement. I also serve as Director of Fiscal Sponsorships, which is one of the services that we provide. One of those was at the request of the mayor of the city of Charleston in 2016 to create the Homeless to Hope Fund in response to the efforts to find shelters for the tent city that the city is dealing with. And then it stayed and continued as the visions grew to add a day resource center and continued forth from there. So that's one of my key connections where we were providing the funding for the direct services. And I also serve on the board of directors for the Hope Center itself. So that's like why I'm kind of here. But I can say these are not just people that I know, these are friends and colleagues that will talk to each other all the time on one level or another. So it's a community that works together. So what I want to do is I'm going to introduce down the line, and what we want to do is give you a top level overview of the programs that, and they're all tied to City of Charleston, City of North Charleston, and to give you a sense of the overall partnerships they also work with in the community and the collaborative effort to take our programs and the efforts regionally. And then questions and answers afterwards, because we wanted to keep it short to give you all the opportunity to ask the questions that we know you want to ask. So introductions, this is Latasha Jenkins-Flood, the Executive Director of the Hope Center. And she is also intricately involved with the new rapid rehousing program that's being put together. This is Brandon Lilienthal, who of course is the homeless coordinator for the City of North Charleston. He's also, if you don't mind me saying, the co-chair of the Charleston County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. So he's very involved on many levels of the community. This is Suzanne Young, who is the Executive Director of Neighbors Together, which is that nonprofit. I always wanted that. It's the nonprofit on the corner of Cosgrove River, the old church, that one. And in addition to a number of the programs that the nonprofit does itself, Suzanne is also the key visionary of a new program that's going to be around for all of us, which is Gateway to Housing, which is, I'm not going to say what it is, but Suzanne should have. And then she also, just like Latasha works with bringing community together with the State of Homelessness Call, which provides service, gets service providers together. Suzanne also created the Roundtable, which is another approach to also to identify. I'm not going to talk. I'll let you do. So it just tells you the things that are going on. And then of course Anita Alston Gore, who is the community liaison and homelessness coordinator for the City of Charleston. So with that, I will stop, and I'm going to start with Latasha.
Thank you, Jeffrey, for the great introduction. Good evening, you guys. Thank you so much for having us here on this evening. I've heard a lot of great things about the committee. Adrian and I talk from time to time on how we can work more closely together. So it's really a privilege and honor to be here on this evening. Again, my name is Latasha Jenkins Flood, and I'm the Executive Director of the Hope Center. The Hope Center is a homeless day resource center. We're located at 529 Meeting Street, and the Hope Center is a result of the efforts of former Mayor John Tecklenburg and the Mayor's Commission to address homelessness that took place under his administration. One thing that former Mayor Tecklenburg wanted to do is he understood that the homeless fall into various categories, such as the chronically homeless, those at risk of being homeless, senior citizen homeless, and youth homeless. But he also noticed that there was a gap in services for the unhoused that particularly fall under the 30% area medium income. So he specifically wanted to create a day resource center where the chronically homeless could come and get a hot meal, they could get showers, they could get access to clean clothing, mental health services, employment services as needed, being reunited with their families, and any other services that would help their lives to get back onto the road to recovery. Excuse me, a little tongue twister. So the Hope Center opened to the public on June 6th of 2022. To date, we have served over 2,000 clients in various capacities. When we have funding available, we provide rental and utility assistance. We provide bus tickets for families that are in Charleston that are not originally from our state that have become homeless and need to go back. And we also work with those families individually to make sure that homelessness is a rare, brief, non-recurring issue. One of the programs that I am especially proud of is the SCORE partnership that we have with the city of North Charleston. We go to North Charleston with Palmetto Community Care, which is an HIV organization, Feta Healthcare Network, Roper St. Francis, the Department of Mental Health, and we go to encampments and hotels, and we engage those families in getting them those comprehensive wraparound services. And we target our efforts specifically with those who suffer from opioid disorders. A lot of times they are left out of the conversation. It's hard for them to get to where we're located for whatever reason. So we literally take our group and we go out every third Friday of the month, and we hit those areas as well as the encampments. To date, we served about, what, 200 people with services. We've helped over opioid disorders. Yeah, so, and that's a special group that we're targeting because we've noticed that the increase of clients that have those disorders has continued to go up. So that's a special effort between our agencies. In addition to that, outside of those efforts, I'm excited to be a part of the Rapid Housing Program under Mayor Cogswell. That's going to be a program where we'll have 118 units of pallet housings for the chronically homeless. I can't share too much information about it because we're still in the beginning stages. But if you want to know more information about it, Mayor Cogswell is going to hold a conference at the Berkeley County Council of Governments on October the 1st, where he will roll out the renderings. He will share what that partnership looks like in more detail and also answer any questions. I know you said we got limited time, so I'm trying to wrap it up. Some of the other partnerships that we also have at the Hope Center is our current state of homelessness meeting, which meets the third Wednesday of the month. We have several nonprofit providers, City of North Charleston, Suzanne's organization, anyone that's involved in homelessness. We all sit together as a group. We brainstorm, we task force, we share resources because we understand this is not something that we can do alone and that it's a collaborative effort. I'm really proud of how those partnerships are going to continue to expand, and I am particularly excited about Mayor Cogswell's approach to address homelessness regionally. I think that's something that we need to continue to keep an eye on. And with these partnerships and us working together, I believe that the Rapid Housing Project is a step in the right direction, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I wanted to make sure I was here on time because I don't like being late, so I didn't bring my Hope Center brochures. But I will make sure Adrienne gets a copy and she can forward it to anyone that's here. And if you have any other information, you can reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And one thing before I turn it to Brandon, at the Hope Center, we have a prototype for the pallet housing that's going to be a part of the regional rapid housing program. If anyone is interested in touring the Hope Center or seeing what the pallets look like, please reach out to me and I'm happy to set up an appointment. Thank you. It's open to the public, yes. I can send you a link to it.
Ready. Good afternoon, everyone. First, thank you, Tom, for, having a vision and putting this together. because wouldn't know, we wouldn't be here without, you reaching out and, having that vision to bring us to this table. So thank you for that. My name is Brandon Lilienthal, homeless coordinator with the city of North Charleston. I've been in this position for about 2 years, 2.5 years now. So pretty much my day-to-day operation is responding to complaints from businesses, residents, and on top of that, trying to serve the homeless individuals that we have in our community. So I have a very unique job of trying to keep the trust of homeless individuals and the trust of our businesses and residents in the community. So pretty much how I operate, I'm in the streets, in the woods, under the bridges, meeting with individuals where they're at. And when I meet with individuals, I don't come with a slew of services telling them what I can do for them. I ask them, some individuals ask me, what can you do for me? And I tell them, well, what do they ask me, what do I have for them? And I tell them nothing. It's like, what do you want? Because I'm not, I don't want to list a lot of services and that's not what you want. So what I do is I, give them the opportunity to be the pitcher. You tell me what you want. If you just want an ID, hey, let's go get an ID. So I start from the very bottom to get these individuals what they need. Also, the transit system is not, very, convenient for the individuals that I work with. So I actually take them to where they need to be. So I take them to the DMV, Social Security card, Social Security Administration, get some food from, neighbors together. If they want mental health treatment, I can take them and get them set up with that. So pretty much, whatever the individual tells me that they want to get assistance with, I try my best to get them to that resource. I know that everyone doesn't want a place to stay. So, there's some individuals that I just help them get that one specific thing that they want, and then I'm out of the way. I also work with I work with a lot of fire victims. So when there are fires happening in the community, I'm working with those individuals. Families are in the schools. We have a lot of children inside hotels, working with those individuals as well, trying to get them connected to resources. So it's real good that I have a good partnership because I'm the only individual. Yeah, I'm the only one for the city of North Charleston. So I use my resource, my connections a lot. So it's not me doing all the work. I use, my foundation with partners to help get these individuals where they need to be. As Jeffrey said, also, I sit on, just was recently appointed co-chair of the Charleston County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. So that consists of entities from different law enforcement agencies. Currently, the chief of Mount Pleasant is the chair. The solicitor Scarlett, she's attends these meetings. So pretty much the ideal goal is to brainstorm and figure out ways of, providing better services for individuals in the community when they go through the criminal justice system. So we have most visible persons group for individuals who if you got arrested more than 4 times within a year, you're on that list. So, and what we do is we try to case manage these individuals so that they're not, constantly going in and out of jail. There is a partnership right now with the 180 place for individuals who, they're homeless, but they constantly getting arrested. So they can actually go into a house at 180 place and get, stabilized there. They're also working on with the Charleston Center for individuals to public intoxication is a huge, barrier. I mean, a lot of individuals get arrested for public intoxication. So what the CJCC does is we're targeting, low offenses that individuals should not be going to jail for, So, trespassing. So many individuals get arrested for trespassing. So we're working with law enforcement agencies to, instead of taking that individual to jail, deflecting them to how would they go to mental health treatment? Reach out to me, and I can meet with that individual. If they need substance abuse treatment, try to get those individuals connected with the Charleston Center. But I'll resort back to the public intoxication. Right now, there's a pilot being worked on right now. The Charleston Center is working on a sobering center. So when officers come across individuals who are, intoxicated, they can actually take them to the Charleston Center and they can sober up there instead of taking them to jail. That pilot program is still in process, but North Charleston is going to be the first one. North Charleston Police Department is going to be the first pilot program to, work on that, and then we'll trickle down to other facilities. But yeah, so I'll pass it on you. But, yeah.
I just want to echo what Brandon said about thank you for giving us the opportunity to be a part of the conversation. And in the interest of time, I'm going to keep brief about our agency, and I'm going to talk more about a program that we are doing. But Neighbors Together has been around for over 40 years. We were originally Tri-County Family Ministries. A lot of people recognize that name, and we changed it a couple years ago to more reflect our philosophy of Neighbors Together. And so we have kind of a two-prong approach. We help with emergency services in the moment. Like Brandon mentioned, groceries, we serve a hot meal. We do clothing and hygiene, and we help with past due rent and utilities when we have the funding. And we also help with prescription assistance and getting dentures and eyeglasses for folks. And we also use a case management model, because I firmly believe while the emergency services are important, they aren't going to change anyone's situation. And so you do that through case management and that long-term goal planning. We don't tell them what their goals have to be. Just like Brandon said, he doesn't, we ask them what do they want to do, and then we help them figure out how to do that and get them connected to the resources and so forth that they do. And one of my kind of main focuses since I've been at Neighbors Together, which is 2.5 years, is collaboration. And because we have so many folks that have transportation issues, a lot of our clients walk to us or they ride a bicycle. And so I try to create a hub of services at Neighbors Together. So I invite other agencies to come and be on site with us so that if folks can get to Neighbors Together, they can access a lot of different services. So we have mental health comes out, we have a legal clinic, we do health clinics, all these kind of things to kind of reach that goal. I also, as Jeffrey alluded to, I facilitate a monthly roundtable meeting that's been meeting for 1.5 years. And the idea of this group, it's kind of the next step after Latasha's state of homelessness call. Because my group, I tell everybody the first time they come, this is a working group. So we do a lot of things. And so, and we work on projects to address issues we see that our clients are dealing with. I have about 72 members representing about 50 agencies or so. Everybody here is a part of the roundtable. And one of the things we've been working on is a housing initiative. As you know, affordable housing, we do not have it. And so I am spearheading an initiative called Gateway to Housing. And it is what's called a low barrier housing model. And the low barrier refers to the things that keep people from being able to pass a screening criteria to get into an apartment or whatever, such as a low credit score, or like Brandon was talking about, evictions on their records, or a criminal record, or any of these things. And so what this model does is it says to the landlords, if you'll remove one of those barriers, they can choose which one, we will give you a financial incentive. And then we also have a risk mitigation fund, because so many folks have this stereotype that if I rent to someone who's been experiencing homelessness, they're going to come in and destroy my property. That is not true, but they have that idea. So you have to reassure them. So the risk mitigation fund is set up for that. So we can say, if that happens, and you can document the damage. It's not just normal wear and tear, it's actual, damage. We'll pay to have it repaired. So that eases any anxiety they have. And also, folks do not self-refer. They come through agencies like Brandon could refer someone, say, I have someone is an ideal candidate for this program. So it's coming through case managers. So they have someone working with them to help support them. And we also have one of the really unique features of this program is we will be a member of a software database that will allow us to keep all the inventory real time that is available. So if Brandon or Latasha are looking for housing for someone, they can go on that site, put in the parameters, I need a place in West Ashley, 3-bedroom, and I need it to be eviction, and it'll pull up everything that's available for that. So that's not having to call 20 different landlords. It's real time, it's streamlined, and all the agencies can use it for free. So it's a collective impact model. So Neighbors Together is what's called the backbone agency. We are the administrator of it. We will be the ones that keep the database accurate. We will be the ones that send out the incentive checks and do all that piece. But the roundtable members, a lot of them are ones that do work to find housing. So they are going to be some of the first partners that work with me on this. And we are getting funding from City of Charleston and from Charleston County. And so I am hopeful I will be able to start actually launching this in October, November. I'm waiting on one last signed contract from Charleston County. And then I can hire staff and we can actually start rolling out this process. And the really neat thing about this is it's scalable. So it will work with large apartment complexes. It will work with folks that just own a house that they rent out. It can work with any of those. And it's only for people who are experiencing homelessness or on the brink of homelessness. That is the focus of this initiative. So I personally think it's going to be a game changer because you don't have to build anything. You use current inventory. So I think it can really, it's not going to solve the problem, but it's going to put a huge dent in it. And I did bring materials. So if anyone would like that, and if you would like a tour of Neighbors Together, I am happy to do that. Like Jeffrey said, we're on the corner of Cosgrove and Rivers. You can just look for the copper steeple of the church building, and I'm happy to give any of you a tour.
Well, good evening. My name is Anita Alston Gore, and I'm new to the city of Charleston, but I'm not new to hard work. I've worked with the public for over 18 years, and my background has been workforce development. I came to the city in November of last year, and I came at the heart of the cold months. I got to get to know the people in the faith-based community, which they provide housing for the unsheltered during the cold months. Those churches were Hibben United Methodist Church in Mount Pleasant, Seacoast in Somerville, and not trying to pick on a favorite one, but Holy Mission City of Aldersgate on Remont Road. I went there one night during the cold months, and I assisted them by helping them with the food, getting them the beds, the cots, and everything ready for the people who were out in the cold. That ran from November until March. Then I got involved with some other things with my job. But I must say that the person who basically keeps me focused and going is to my left, and that is Miss Latasha Flood Jenkins, because Jenkins Flood, because she is the director of the Hope Center. So I'm direct support to her, meaning that whatever she asks me to do concerning outreach, serving breakfast, being a part of what she needs me to do, I'm there. Also, I receive phone calls from different neighbors in the downtown area, especially in the visitor section. I get those calls about, the homelessness, either being in the wrong place at the wrong time, if you will. And those calls come to me. I immediately reach out to the outreach team and try to tell them to provide resources to those people who are unsheltered. I take this work very serious. And I say that because we all are sitting in this room and we all are going home this afternoon after we leave this room. And we're going to go and switch on a light in our homes, pick up our remote and watch our TV. And sometimes the TV will be watching us. But the people who are out in the streets that don't have a place to sleep, that bothers me. That's why I'm a part of this work. I am growing. I'm building relationships with Brandon, with Suzanne, and most of all with Latasha and Jeffrey. These are the people that have basically took me under their arms and say, Anita, we're going to help you understand the language, understand the work, understand the people we serve. And so far, so good. I'm going to say that I'm in it all the way. I'm engaged with the rapid housing. I'm for and with Mayor Coswell with that, 100%. Because like I said, when we leave here, we're going to our houses. We're going to take a nice long shower. And sometimes we will shower the day off and don't even think about it. But then when I go into my shower and I take a shower, I think about those people that I come in contact with. This week, like yesterday, for instance, I served breakfast at the Hope Center where Miss Flood and Coca-Cola, who came in, who was a partner, and provided breakfast for our unsheltered clients. They were grateful. They were grateful, y'all. They came up, and each one of them that I spoke with, I said, how are you doing this morning? And they were saying, oh, I'm doing good. And I would make a joke like, yeah, you made the wake up list, you're here. And they were so grateful for the breakfast. I want you guys to know that this is different for me, but like I said, I'm not afraid of hard work. And so I leave all that to you to say that I'm 100% in with Latasha, who I look up to quite a bit, because we're out in this vineyard and we're doing God's work. And that's all I have to say.
You don't.
One other thing I just wanted to share quickly also is that because it involves one of your fellow commissioners, I also serve on the board of directors of the Charleston Interreligious Council. And we recently met with Mayor Cogswell to offer our support to efforts that the city has taken on. And that included working together to provide information, resources, opportunities to the larger faith-based community using both the city's wonderful newsletter and ours, which also has a very large audience. And the key to all this, I hope, and this is where we want us to give you the opportunity to ask questions, and I believe you heard it, is collaboration. And when it comes to something like, not everyone is quite comfortable yet with the idea of pallet homes or the rapid rehousing project. And there are still many layers to it and levels that we're learning and developing to figure out exactly the best opportunity. But it's not just one person or one entity that's making these, putting these ideas together. Everyone here and so many other organizations are involved in the process to make it work. And if you even just think about you're getting them into the housing, you're getting them out into permanent housing. They work together. It doesn't happen without both. So with that, we would like to open it up to any questions that you might have.
Bonnie?
Hi, I'm Commissioner Bonnie Cleveland. Thank you for all the really amazing work you're doing in the community. I'm going to ask you a series of questions all at once, and you don't need to answer all of them. It's just to get you thinking. So I'm interested in primarily knowing what we as commissioners can do. So obviously, you could always use more funding. And besides that, if you had suddenly $40 million, what would you do specifically, sort of first, second, and third to solve homelessness in the city of Charleston? Are there any obvious city rules or behaviors or laws that get in your way, or anything that could be really helpful that the city could do, even if it seems out of reach?
I know, it's like, we'll make a list. Who would like to, who would like to take that?
I always have something to say. So 40 million goes really fast. But I think I, like Anita, am not from Charleston. I actually came from Greenville, South Carolina, a couple years ago. And so we need more emergency shelters here. I know there are different camps about that. But at Neighbors Together, we see people living in their cars, women staying in unsafe situations because they don't have anywhere else to go. And so, yes, permanent housing is the ultimate goal, but you sometimes they need a phase to get to that. And so emergency shelter, mental health system, there's just not enough mental health resources at all. And that's a huge contributing factor to a lot of the issues that we see and that folks are dealing with. So, and transportation. And I think, housing, like at Gateway to Housing, like what Latasha is doing through the Hope Center and the regional housing, I think coming up with creative solutions, and I think that's not being afraid to try something new. And working together, because as we've seen through the roundtable and the things we've done, when we work together, we can get so much more done. And so I think encouraging that and like today, inviting us to the table, and to hear directly from us, because we're the ones doing it every day, and so I think that doesn't happen enough. And so I would like to see more of that.
I'll say, when you talk about emergency shelters, you got to think about community buy-in. And, your council members, everyone says they want a shelter, but do you want to tell in your backyard, so, that stigma associated with homelessness, just, no matter how many times, it just takes one person, like they said, that one bad apple, and that brush gets painted again across everyone who's experiencing homelessness. So there's a never-ending battle to fight the stigma associated with homelessness and getting community, buy-in. I just got a guy placed after working with him for a year. He was living in the woods for over a year, and he got placed in January in an apartment complex, and he fell on hard times. The property management actually reached back out to me because he was such a good tenant there that they don't want to evict him. So, we're working on, and he fell on hard times due to, funding. It wasn't any behavior or drug use or anything like that. So he would be a primary example of, just because you're homeless doesn't mean that, once you get in the place, you're just gonna, bring a whole heap of havoc into a neighborhood.
It would be a great gateway to housing. too.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I really appreciate Tom taking the initiative to bring all of you together. And I'm sorry it took us so long to, think that this would be an important topic for us to begin and not let go of. So I hope that we can continue that kind of work, Adrian. And so I have several questions too, Bonnie. They're not quite so well organized as yours. When I first started talking with Tom about his idea to bring the groups that he was being led to by, having the conversations with people that he was introduced to, I think it was Brandon first, and obviously we know that the cities had the Hope Center, and I do think that, just for the record, even before the Hope Center, it was the Navigation Center, and that was started in 2019, right? When did it go into operation? But anyway, so it's really been a resource that the city has sponsored for going on many years now, which is great. I came from Northern Virginia, where I ran nonprofit housing, where we were the end of the continuum, and that's what we called it. We were all stakeholders in the continuum of care that we were required to meet together and plan our programs together if we wanted to be any part of the HUD funding cycle that, came to the city of Alexandria, where I was working on an annual basis. So maybe I've led Tom down the wrong trail. And so that's one of my first questions: is the State of Homelessness Committee, is that the comparable to the continuum of care? Because when we read about the mayor's plan for rapid rehousing, and we need to have more of a conversation about that, but they quoted Stacy Deneau, the executive director of 180 Place, as, I thought she said she was the convening agency for the region's continuum of care. So I do think that would be important for us to understand how you all plug into that and where that comes into the whole process of handling the collaboration, challenges that surely exist.
I don't know what to start with this. I will say that we have various members and agencies have always had a level of involvement with the continuum of care. And of course, our agencies also have connection directly with 180. I'll let someone else, if they want to speak directly to the differences, but I'll tell you one thing that we're working hard on is with HUD, and I know you're very familiar with HUD funding. One of the things that was the philosophy that I put together for the Homeless to Home Fund, and also what we're looking at initially for the rapid housing project, is with HUD, you get funding and you also get restrictions. And what we're trying to do is not replace or compete with facilities that are HUD recipients, but we're trying to also balance. There are so many other individuals that don't necessarily qualify or fit within the guidelines of what HUD-funded organizations are able to offer based on the specific programs. And those people tend to sort of get lost sometimes. And this is an opportunity, continued opportunity, to provide services that are not restricted. And a lot of times it feels like that. A lot of times we work together so that HUD funding, or whatever one organization's limits are, they can work with this, but then another organization has the opportunity to kind of fill in. Because, if someone needs $1,500 and an organization has a limit and is able to give $500, that's not going to help the person. So the other 1,000 still needs to come from somewhere, and that always ends up being a challenge. These are opportunities. You have to have both.
So it's like the Venn diagram then. You're collaborating in those concentric circles that intersect.
And it's also not, the services are restricted, for HUD-funded agencies, they have to go by HUD's definition of homelessness,
Sure.
which is a very specific, narrow parameter. And so the other organizations that are not HUD-funded, we don't have to go by that definition. So if someone is what they call doubled up with someone, HUD doesn't count that as homeless. So we can, and so it's a very strict definition that they monitor closely. So the ones that get that funding, they have to follow HUD's definition of homeless.
Well, if I could just, I think we're trying to be educated, right, in the holistic game plan for how the population is being served. And I totally salute Mayor Cogswell's efforts to, make sure that this turns out to be a regional set of solutions and not anything to do with it, it's like water. Homelessness does not know the jurisdictions in which they are homeless. So I totally salute that. But I think just to be giving us the full picture would be really helpful to somehow be able to appreciate which organizations are sort of, being supported by HUD and marching in lockstep and following all the HUD restrictive rules, and which of you are now being more inventive and filling the gaps, because we would like to, support all of that in terms of making sure that no person is left behind.
Absolutely.
There are, HUD has in every COC, as you know, a collaborative lead agency. And that is 180 Place in our COC. They are the collaborative lead. And so, we cover, 7 counties are in our continuum. And so, there are only a couple that are actually HUD funded. That would be 180 Place, Origin. There's one in Colleton County called, was it In His Name? In His Name. And then I know the Humanities Foundation does, they're like what's called a sub-recipient of a grant with 180 Place. And is there anybody else? I think that's it. That's the only ones that are HUD funded. The rest of us are not.
Then I have one other question, if you don't mind. And in terms of talking about shelters, and I agree that, you need to have that kind of full spectrum of opportunities for people as they come in and become more stable and self-sufficient, and then, move on into being able to be renters of their own, or owners would be wonderful. So I thought that the Hope Center was on its way to being that kind of stop along the spectrum of shelter. So what's happened with the Hope Center? The residential facility that the city owns the property and is supposed to be building a building, right?
We can tag team that.
Okay.
You go first.
Yes, but no. The Hope Center was never designed to be permanent housing itself. No, it was just for warming, cooling shelter was the limitation, not a regular shelter. It was, no, not the Hope Center. So the Hope Center's primary role, even with the, with
So that sounds like a question that we need to forward some, perhaps to Stephen, to follow up the. Yeah. So couple of questions. The city's been working on a peninsula plan. How has you fed into your information into formulating the peninsula plan?
Yes, I visited one of the sessions at the old Longshoreman Hall, And I also work with someone at the city. They came to the Hope Center as well during one of our community cookouts to also get feedback from the unhoused population on the peninsula plans. So we've been involved since the inception, and we've been giving feedback whenever that opportunity's been provided.
Great. And second question, I figured I got a third one too. You guys do great work, and you present the information in the case. But and the city's master plan talks about the notion of giving voice to folks who are actually impacted. So what opportunities are there for the unhoused to speak to city council, to speak to the COG or other folks that they hear directly from them?
So I know from the Hope Center's perspective, when the pallet housing prototype was delivered, I spoke with the unhoused clients that come to breakfast, and I gave them an opportunity to look at the pallet homes, to share things that they like and they did not like about it, because ultimately the housing is for them. I've also reached out to Mayor Cogswell's office because the unhoused have had a special interest in having him or someone from his office come over during breakfast just to kind of share more information about the regional project. And I'm still waiting on a response for that. The unhoused have an open door at the Hope Center. They can come and talk to me about anything that they might be concerned about, whether it's the stigma that comes with homelessness, whether it's any mental health concerns. One thing that we've been talking about very closely, mostly with our faith-based partners, is how we're going to work together collaboratively to throw away the myth of not in my backyard. We think that that's going to be very important to educate the community on why projects like the rapid housing is important and gateway to housing. And I know that we've had several faith-based organizations who have expressed interest in kind of taking the lead and working with us directly. And those are just some of the day-to-day things that we're doing to address the issue. Just being totally honest, not everyone is going to be a supporter of these efforts because some people have really strong feelings about the unhoused. But what I have noticed is that once people come and actually see the work and they see success stories and they see positive outcomes, their mindset usually changes. And that's what we're about. I think we can say it for all of us here. Our goal is to show you, you might feel this way, but once you become educated, you learn what the outcomes, you learn the good work that we're doing together collaboratively, then your mindset will change.
Last question. Is the community liaison and homeless coordinator's position still reporting to the, funded and through the police department? Okay. And what's the relationship of the mayor's office of children and families to the homeless work?
We work closely with Mindy Stern's office. One of the areas we collaborate more frequently on is the financial education literacy piece through Bank on Charleston. When we have events at the Hope Center, whether they're community-wide events or events specific to the city, there's always a representative from the mayor's office of family and children there to educate clients on the importance of getting a bank account, why having your money in a bank versus at home is more better, kind of staying away from predatory lending. And we think that's going to be one of the key steps to lead our families out of financial poverty. And we work very closely with Mindy, and we're continuing to refine those relationships through the recent FEC. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about that before, and some of the other initiatives through the city.
At Neighbors Together, we do kind of similar thing in that our case managers and our other staff, we're always getting feedback from our clients, and we always work to try to, and they have given us some really good ideas, you know, and that we have made modifications to address what they had brought up to us. And then also with Gateway to Housing, I have formed an advisory council for this group because it is a new model, it's innovative, it's not been done before here. So I wanted feedback from different people. And one of the people I asked is someone with lived experience to serve on the council so that we can get her perspective on what we're doing.
Yeah, I had little doubt that you guys were getting information from folks from the real experience and integrating that. That was, y'all were not my question, all right? It's the people who are making decisions,
Yeah.
all right? Who may not have the kind of information and hands-on experience and value, be able to put the value to the ideas about what could work
Mhm.
and what we need from the population that needs it. That was a question. Any other questions? Tom? Oh, okay. Bob?
I just want to say this sounds fantastic. Y'all are at a high level. I had limited exposure to this topic, but working with a couple individuals down in the weeds, one of whom had been through a divorce, actually living in the woods in a tent, was able to get a job, work her way out of it. Transportation was an issue, but she was overcoming that. Eventually, there's a common thread that I've seen with 100% of the two people that I've worked with, and that is mental health issues and self-medication. And the lady lost better paying job, but still got another job, and I think that kind of kept her on track. And she's now, last I heard, renting her own place near public transportation and doing all right. Another gentleman had some mental health issues, self-medicated, and I believe working through, I think they tried 180 Place, but ended up being the Hope Center, helped him take the steps that he needed to get professional help. So kudos on all of that. It sounds like the universal theme is y'all are encouraging and enabling people to take the steps they feel comfortable taking, which I think is the only way you can make progress on this. And I only have one real question, and that's, Ms. Young, do you think bicycles would help if you had access to bicycles
Yes.
you could provide to people?
Yes.
Because I know there were some bicycle shops in town that would
Yeah.
rehab bicycles.
Yeah, there's an organization called Second Chance Bike. Oh, sorry. There's an organization called Second Chance Bikes that's actually right down the street from where Neighbors Together is. And so we refer a lot of clients to them to get bicycles. So any resources, connections that any of you have for bicycles, that would be greatly appreciated.
Because a lot of housing, if you can get access, well, a bicycle might be that bridge. And I
Right.
think there's more organizations that do that. I'll look into that. Thank
Right.
you.
And helmets,
And
bicycles
locks.
and helmets
And locks.
and locks. Yes, yeah, 3 things, yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And we're very fortunate where we're located. We are right across from a major CARTA bus stop, and there's a police substation right on the other corner. So we are strategically located.
Maybe we could just go down the line here. My question is, what would you like to see government do more besides obviously money? But what would you like local governments to do more in terms of helping the homeless?
I would like to see them come and be a part of what we do on a daily basis so they can get a better overview on what really is going on in our community.
I agree with Anita. It's one thing to know something in the abstract, but to have a conversation with someone who is actually living that makes it real in a way that nothing else can. I would say I would like I'm tired of seeing empty buildings that could be used for shelter or transitional housing for women and children. And I also wish that things happened more quickly at the government process, especially when it comes to funding and stuff like that. It just takes forever, y'all. And people are on the street tonight, and so I get frustrated with that. And it's no one person's fault. It's the system, but if some of that red tape could be cut and some things could happen more quickly, then we could get faster results and make an impact on so.
I'll say being open to manage facilities. This government kind of doesn't want to be in the managing of the facilities that help individuals, you know? So just being open to, you know, being innovative of, you know, don't be afraid to have the government's name on it, just the municipality's name associated with it. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Brandon. I think one thing that continues to be left out of the conversation is the assistance to our senior citizens who are vulnerable and at risk of being homeless. A lot of them live on fixed incomes. They are steadily being priced out of their neighborhoods for whatever reason, and they are literally becoming the fastest population that's falling through the gap, so to speak. So we need some additional safety measures in place for senior citizens. I know people always say, well, they get an annual raise with their social security benefits, but as soon as they do, their rent goes up and whatever increase they may have received, it's gone. And then oftentimes they're priced out and they're beginning to become homeless. So in particular, outside of what these, my colleagues just mentioned, I want to see more safety net resources for seniors who are especially vulnerable with this population.
One more thing. Yeah, changing the eviction laws. The evictions are, changing the eviction laws. Because pretty much, once an eviction is on your record, that's, you know, I call it a death sentence. Because we have individuals who are working multiple jobs who can afford, you know, to get another apartment, but that eviction, you know, prevents them from, and the eviction probably much is probably like a huge component to why individuals are living in hotels. So.
And it only costs landlords $40 to file an eviction. South Carolina has one of the lowest filing fees. So if it was a little more painful for landlords, they wouldn't do it so quickly. So to change that so that that fee is higher, I think would be a huge help. And North Charleston has the highest eviction rate in the country. And so we have lots of people walking around with evictions on their record. And so that's why like something like Gateway to Housing, if we can get, you know, property owners to remove that barrier, so many more people would have access to housing.
But why are there so many people getting evicted? I mean, like I said,
Because there's no rent caps, landlords can jack up their rent $500 and somebody can't afford that, you know? And so there's no governance over that. And so, you know, land is gold down here. That's one thing I have learned since I moved down here. Land is gold. And if they can jack up their rent and make a lot more, that's what they do. And so folks who have jobs, who are working hard, find themselves homeless.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the gentrification, there used to be poor people neighborhoods where white people didn't really want to live. So those rents were reasonable because if you were a landlord, you got what you got. Just to keep it rented. Now they can charge whatever they want because there's no color barriers. They are going away every day.
And that also includes,
I'm on record, the yuppies are taking over.
and that includes every time a lease is up. As
Yep.
soon as it's time to renew a lease, phew,
Yeah.
they can, you know, you might have afforded it once.
Yeah.
Immediately you
And,
can't.
and a lot that we see, unfortunately, at Neighbors Together is, and one of the things we're trying to work to help with is folks don't know tenant rights. And so we have a lot of people that will come to us that their landlord told them, oh, you have to get out in 2 days. And they believe them. And so they pack up, move out, and then come to us. And it's like, no, they had to go through the magistrate court. They, you know, 30, but they're already gone. They're already out of their housing. And so landlords take advantage of that folks don't know their rights. And so they tell them stuff that's not true.
Well, and I have to add one thing at the end before you go, Brandon, in terms of your question, my answer. One of the themes that I wanted to bring out here was collaboration. And those of us who are actually working with the community, we are collaborating. What we don't see as much, and what would be wonderful on a governmental level, is collaboration, where you have the different municipalities and the counties and everyone does their own. And the strength and the power that could come from that foundation of all these communities working together and not on each individual effort, but on a combined effort, which hopefully we're going to have a test. You know, with the rapid housing project, this is going to be our opportunity to see how we can bring the communities together. And it's been a while since, yeah, it's been a while. So that's what I think.
Real quickly, and you saved me some breath because that's one of the things I wanted to say, but, you know, I live in a rental situation where, my 1-year lease ran out. My landlord won't sign another 1-year lease. It's month to month. It's part of the way the lease works. And any month he can decide my rent is X amount more and I'll be on the street if I can't afford it. So I can relate to that. But what you said about collaboration, I mean, I think this is like a perfect model for how nonprofits and governments and individuals are supposed to be working together. Every social problem that we face, especially in states like South Carolina, require nonprofits and government to work together, and business and absolutely. And so my question is, I know Neighbors Together, based on conversations I've had with my synagogue, is in need of volunteers. As I know that we all have different affiliations, and I just wonder, is there something we can be doing in terms of volunteer recruitment for the work that y'all are doing as individual entities?
Yes, and I can tell you personally, for Neighbors Together, one of the things I'm really struggling to find right now is I need some more retired nurses or, you know, stay at home, you know, whatever, to help with our health services. Because I have two. One is very, very retired. And so I'm always looking for nurses to come and help with our health services, because that's a huge need. And right now I can only do it 1 day a week, because I only have them that 1 day. And so I would love to be able to offer it multiple days a week.
Answering your volunteers, when the cold months start, the faith-based community that I mentioned, they're going to need volunteers because they serve the community with their church members, and sometimes it could be a little tiresome, you know? They have to rotate, and it would be great if we had other people to come in and give them a break during those cold months.
Thank you. At the present moment, the Hope Center is looking for volunteers to help organize our clothing closet and also assist with breakfast. And speaking in general terms for the future for the Rapid Housing Project, we're going to need volunteers that will come and agree to serve lunch, breakfast, and dinner, and work in shifts to help feed the unhoused and the pallet housing. I don't think that that's something that any one organization or church can take on, but I think through collaborative efforts, that's something that's going to be key and very important.
I want to again thank you very much for this very informative and hopefully engaging, and hopefully they're either individually, folks around this table can do something, and collectively as a commission as we pursue and engage in the development of the rapid housing activity and the your pilot project as well. There are important things happening related to housing. We need to continue to watch the meetings of the Community Development Committee, number of the larger development projects that are moving through Shamar, and the couple others were discussed yesterday or earlier this week. In each instance, there is discussion about affordable housing in those. Not quite sure affordable for who. All right,
It won't be their population.
right, is a question. On September, so September 19th, I think, is the next Community Development Committee meeting. On September 26th, the Community Development Committee will be meeting specifically on the Union Pier proposal and the the blight and TIF piece. And I would suggest if you go back to, I believe it's the August 20th meeting of the city council, look at the Ways and Means schedule. There is the full ordinance with the rationales and talking points and the plan. So if you want to become, I'm doing that for the commissioners as a way for them to get you understand what will be talked about on the 26th. Union Pier redevelopment, the 65 acres, the multi-million-dollar tax increment finance proposal. There is mention of affordable housing and open space in that context, as in our prior discussion regarding the possibility of retail space and even historic things tied to the African American tradition in that neighborhood, all part of that conversation. We should be paying some attention to that. The water plant is up and to its credit, and want to raise up the fact, if you look at it, there is specific language in it about environmental justice. And the word equity is even mentioned several times in the plan. So it's important to continue and remember that's a plan. And it's interesting to me, there are 100 projects identified. One of the criteria is whether or not it has environmental justice as a factor. It'll be interesting to correlate which of the 100 projects that are identified have or prioritized or have environmental justice components to them. I think that's important for us to pay attention to. And in the area of policing, the police department's response to the external review and final report, CPAC has been asked to convene a meeting. It appears that's going to happen on October 3rd from 5 to 7. The department is asked that the community develop 10 questions that they will respond to during that meeting. I've been in communication with the members of the CPAC who are responsible for that activity, as well as people from CASIM and the NAACP and other groups, and in any of the neighborhood groups that you're involved in who have questions. Look at that report. It's not clear yet where the questions can be collected and sent to yet. So I would say at this point, if you look at the report and have questions, send them to Adrian. All right, and then we can pass them on to CPAC in that regard. This has been a chock-full meeting with information. Any updates from any members of the commissioner?
I don't have an update, but I have a request for the next meeting. It sounds like it'll be good timing if Latasha told us that the mayor's plan is to roll out his rapid housing regional scope plan at BCD COG on the 1st of October is what you said. So that would correspond with us being able to hear a rollout update on our October meeting. And I do think that, I mean, to be honest, a lot of us read the newspaper articles when this idea was first floated, and it comes at it from a criminal justice, public safety aspect of keeping our community safe, which obviously we're all in favor of that. But I do feel like we need to be talking about what will policing look like as a result of this plan. My understanding is, you know, if it were going to be done the way that it was explained in the newspaper story, and hopefully it'll be a lot more nuanced and opportunistic on the softer side of working with the unsheltered clients or people who are being approached out sleeping outside, that but the way it was explained in the paper was there would be 4 options essentially on what that person's choice would be in order to not sleep on the street the next night. And what will happen when the 118 pallet homes are full up and there's nowhere, to house another person in that category? What will happen when the 118 pallet home residents are ready to go into a more permanent shelter and there are no beds in a permanent shelter, let alone the apartments that, you're getting your gateway to housing off the ground? So I do feel like we need to have some more honest conversations about that with our leaders and really understand the intent and the implementation outcomes that, could be something that none of us would want to be proud of. Worst case.
Note, I anticipate that Tom will continue to be our point guard on that. I would urge members of the commission to, who have time, to attend and or listen to the recording of the October 1st meeting, to distill it, and we can ask the administration if we have questions, right, to come and deal with that on the agenda. Brandon, anything on?
Yeah, so for our Human Affairs Working Group, which we are mightily struggling to get together, we did a whip round and talked to all the individual members or invitees of this working group. They're also committed to participating even as the school year is starting. And I think now we're just circling on a date and location. Adrian suggested the library, which is a great option. I know that it's really easy to book some meeting space at the library, and I think it's absolutely still going to happen. And after witnessing this amazing panel, I'm wondering if some group of those that we invited might be interested in coming and sharing their experiences, either in the comment section or on stage, whether it be like the students or maybe some of the leaders of the religious institutions. But that's just floating that thought out there. And then to Jeffrey's point, who, by the way, if you haven't noticed, sits right over here at just about every one of our park meetings. If you have any follow-up questions for him, he's probably waiting so he can rush over to the North Charleston City Hall for their city council meeting. So Jeffrey mentioned we met with the mayor as the Charleston Interreligious Council Executive Board, and and we offered what I would also offer this group, which is that we can be a resource like we see here with the nonprofit industry working together. We're an existing infrastructure of interfaith organizations that are already together and organizing interfaith programming and in contact with each other, and we offer the mayor that infrastructure as a resource if there was to be a convening of any interfaith discussions. We offer the programs that we already have for promotion by the city, and we'll definitely share those with everybody on HARC as well. And yeah, that's really all I have to share, except that Dina, who's the president of Charleston Interreligious Council, is going to be joining that Human Affairs working group conversation. And I've just heard great things from the college, even as recently as this week, about intergroup collaboration and discussion and safe places being created on campus. It's really encouraging when compared to some of what's happening in other places around the country. So looking forward.
Ron?
Yeah, I would,
Don? Bon said no. Bob? Tom? You got something?
I would just like to say thanks. I think we were in the presence of 2 kings and 3 queens. So self-giving and so amazing. And thank you so much for coming and sharing. You guys are the greatest.
You don't have to.
What did I say?
I just want to say, great job on what you're doing collaboration wise. I hear you when you talk about getting government to collaborate. It has been done before. It was difficult, but CARTA eventually did kind of pull together and put up the intermodal station and some other things. There's still a lot to do on the transportation side. This month, most of it seems to be happening in North Charleston on Dorchester Road and around the Limehouse Bridge, so there's nothing really for Charleston on the transportation side. And the City History Commission hasn't met since before the hurricanes, nothing going there, but we got a great update on the burial ground project from Adrian. And that seems to be the biggest thing on the history side right now. That's all I got.
And there's also the Settlement Community Project has a newsletter out that will make sure we circulate to the entire membership. It's got a number of dates in that.
Thanks, Chair. I just want to say thank you. It's my last meeting, obviously, but it's, y'all are doing important work in our community, and I want to thank you for your time, because I know you probably work above and beyond your normal hours. You're taking calls on the weekends. So I just want to say thank you, and hopefully that my community that I do move into has the same sense of passion and commitment, cross my fingers, that you all exhibit. So thank you for your work.
Thank you for all you do.
Hey, Jerry, can I just let you know for your scheduling? I feel I can say this because it was public at the Tuesday night's council meeting. The mayor said that he would be presenting his plan to city council, I believe, at next month's meeting as well. So that is another opportunity to hear it directly.
Suggest that we monitor closely the community development schedule as well as the city council agendas to see if there are projects, particularly the rapid housing piece, the water plan, Union Pier are all moving very quickly. And this is budget season. So in October, there'll be a series of hearings on each departmental budget. And then sometime in November, this council will have a public hearing on that. So any issues that we've been talking about or concerned with, we have the opportunity to weigh in as part of that process. And as I noted in my one note, that in terms of where we are currently in terms of the budget process, the office funding for the staff and office has been included in the 2025 budget. That's what we know at this point. Okay. And again, thank you guys very much. It's been wonderful. Appreciate it. And
I got one more thing to share before we break.
yes, go ahead.
And I'm not trying to hold everybody up, but last week I interviewed a couple from Conway, South Carolina on my little podcast that had a cross burning in their yard. And there was no hate ordinance in Conway. There's no hate crime law in South Carolina. And they couldn't find anything above a misdemeanor to charge this couple with that was harassing them. And they ended up temporarily evicting their racist neighbors with the public nuisance law. But I'm proud to share that, or happy to share that in the past couple of weeks, 3 more South Carolina municipalities have passed hate ordinances. Conway, where this couple lived, Welford, and Lake City have all passed hate ordinances. That's 15, 16, and 17. Charleston was the first. And yeah, I think that's all I want to share.
If there's nothing else to come before the group, we will stand adjourned.